will still be there. A world of suffering, a world of care. Today we'll dance and tell the universe there's love and song for everyone. Fling joy like roses on the laughing wind, and melodies upon the air. Tell everyone that joy is theirs alone, who smile at life and call it fair. Fling joy like roses on the laughing wind, and melodies upon the air. Tell everyone that joy is theirs alone, who smile at life and call it fair. Fling joy like roses on the laughing wind, and melodies upon the air. Tell everyone that joy is theirs alone, who smile at life and call it fair. Tell everyone that joy is theirs alone, who smile at life and call it fair.
The voice of God calls us to awaken him. How will he find us when he comes?
Awake and ready.
And when he asks us to dedicate ourselves ever more perfectly to him, how will he find us?
Awake and ready.
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
friend, beloved God,
friend, beloved God,
great masters of self-realization,
great masters of self-realization,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Babaji Krishna,
Babaji Krishna,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Swami Sri Yukteswar,
Swami Sri Yukteswar,
beloved Master,
beloved Master,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
saints of all religions,
saints of all religions,
we humbly bow before thee,
we humbly bow before
and
thee,
invoke your presence.
and invoke your presence.
Awaken within us
Awaken within us
ever greater determination,
ever greater determination,
devotion,
devotion,
receptivity,
receptivity,
that we may attune our will
that we may attune our will
in resistless surrender
in resistance
to your divine will.
to your divine will.
Make us your channels,
Make us your
that
channels,
we may share your divine light,
that we may share your divine light,
love and joy
love and joy
in this world.
in this world.
Om. Peace.
Peace.
Amen. Please have a seat, friends. Let's start with some music.
When soon this soundless roar doth come, when drowseth matter's dreary drum, on shores of bliss on booming breaks, all earth, all heaven, all body shakes. The bumblebee now hums along, baby home does softly sing his song. From Krishna's flute the call is sweet, 'tis time the watery God to meet. Cords bound to flesh are broken all, vibrations burst and meteors fall. The hustling heart, the boasting breath, no more shall cause the yogi's death. The God of fire with fervor sings, Om Om, his joyous harp now rings. Prana God with power sounds, the wondrous bell the soul resounds. All nature lies in darkness soft, the star divine is seen aloft. Subconscious dreams have gone to bed, 'tis then that one does hear Om's tread. Oh, upward climb the living tree, hark to the cosmic symphony. From home, the soundless roar from home, the call for light or dark to roam. From home, the music of declare, homeward resounding everywhere.
Continue to meditate as you listen to these words on our affirmation for this week: success. True success means transcendence. It means finding what we really want, which is not outward things, but inner peace of mind, self-understanding, and above all, the joy of God. Outward success means transcendence also. It means rising above past accomplishments to reach new levels of achievement. Success can mean accepting failure too, when such acceptance helps us to transcend a false ambition. Every failure, moreover, can be a stepping stone to highest achievement. Success should not be measured by the things accomplished, but by our increasing understanding, ability, and closeness to God. Now let's affirm together, first in a strong voice: I leave behind me both my failures and accomplishments.
I leave behind me both my failures and accomplishments.
What I do today
What I do today
will create a new and better future,
will create a new and better future,
filled with inner joy.
filled with inner joy.
Now a little softer. I leave behind me both my failures and accomplishments.
I leave behind me both my failures and accomplishments.
What I do today
What I do today
will create a new and better future,
will create a new and better future,
filled with inner joy.
filled with inner joy.
And now in a whisper, but with even deeper focus at the point between the eyebrows, I leave behind me both my failures and accomplishments. What I do today will create a new and better future, filled with inner joy. And now silently broadcasting it, the superconscious level, I leave behind me both my failures and accomplishments. What I do today will create a new and better future, filled with inner joy. I leave behind me both my failures and accomplishments. What I do today will create a new and better future, filled with inner joy. And pray silently with me. O Creator of galaxies and countless blazing stars, the power of the very universe is thine. May I reflect that power in the little mirror of my life and consciousness. Om. Peace. Amen. Good morning. Happy New Year. And Friday was Yoganandaji's birthday, so happy belated Master's birthday. For those who didn't join us on Friday. My name is Dharmadevi, for those who are visiting, and this is my husband Narayan. And I'm reading to you from Rays of the One Light Weekly Commentaries on the Bible and Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda. At the heart of silence, the eternal word. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. In the Gospel of St. John, chapter 1, these immortal lines appear. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men, and the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Human vision beholds individuality and separation everywhere. Divine vision beholds the oneness of cosmic vibration, of which all things, no matter how diverse, are manifestations. Cosmic sound, the Word of God, and cosmic light, these are eternal. The world, as revealed to us by our senses, is illusory. In Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda relates an early experience he received of the divine aspect of reality. Sitting on my bed one morning, I fell into a deep reverie. What is behind the darkness of closed eyes? This probing thought came powerfully into my mind. An immense flash of light at once manifested to my inward gaze. Divine shapes of saints sitting in meditation posture in mountain caves formed like miniature cinema pictures on the large screen of radiance within my forehead. Who are you? I spoke aloud. We are the Himalayan yogis. The celestial response is difficult to describe. My heart was thrilled. Ah, I longed to go to the Himalayas and become like you. The vision vanished, but the silvery beams expanded in ever-widening circles to infinity. What is this wondrous glow? I am Ishwara. I am light. The voice was as murmuring clouds. I want to be one with thee. Out of the slow dwindling of my divine ecstasy, I salvaged a permanent legacy of inspiration to seek God. Wise are we if we meditate on that experience of Yogananda's and salvage from it even a breath of his inspiration. For quite simply, there is nothing else. As the Bhagavad Gita says in the 7th chapter, I make and unmake this universe. Apart from me, nothing exists, O Arjuna. All things, like the beads of a necklace, are strung together on the thread of my consciousness and are sustained by me. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
Good morning, friends. I want to share from Whispers from Eternity. If you're not familiar, this is Yogananda's book of prayer demands. And this one is, help me to win the battle of life. O King of Kings, train thou in me, in the camp of discipline, the noble qualities of calmness and self-control. Be thou their divine general, like Krishna of yore, against the invading hordes of darkness, passion, and greed. Protect the celestial kingdom of my mind against entry by the tenacious warriors of evil. Let thy banner of peace wave always above the strong castle of my soul. I was thinking when Dharmadevi was sharing the reading on this topic this morning about, in the beginning was the word. You know, words are can be a way that people get things mixed up and a source of humor. And Zoe was telling me the other day when she was at Ananda Village, she took a picture. Many of you have been to Ananda's village, some of you have not, but there's a big, it's about 1,000 acres, and one woman there, Virani, has started a goat dairy. And Yogananda used to call his lessons the Yagoda lessons. And so she coined the name of her goat dairy, Yagoda, instead of Yagoda. But that wasn't the funny part. The funny part was Zoe took a picture of one of the goats and posted it on her Instagram. And then someone, I guess a friend or someone that was following her on Instagram, commented on this goat that, you know, had like the chain around its neck, and maybe he was like sort of winking from the sunlight or something. And this person said, "Oh, this is the dopest rap album cover I've ever seen." Word. So he said, "I think you have the wrong." Evidently, there is a rap album cover, I guess, with the goat on it. I don't know. But, you know, this topic for us is so important because it's highlighting our way home to God. The word is that divine vibration. It's the Divine Mother. In India, it's known as the Om, right? In Judeo-Christian in the Western world, we know as the Amen. But it's that sacred vibration. In the Holy Trinity, there's God the Father, that is the transcendental aspect that's above and beyond his creation. And then there's God the Son, which is the way Yogananda described as center everywhere, circumference nowhere. You start to meditate on that. It's quite a deep statement, just that one statement. I remember when I was a young boy, maybe like 7 or 8, I had heard, from my parents or someone that the universe was, we didn't have just our universe and galaxy, but there was at least 100 billion. And I remember when I was very young, lying in my bed thinking about the infinity of the world, thinking, oh my goodness. And it was it's awe-inspiring, right? But this word is the third aspect of the Holy Trinity. It's the Divine Mother. Like that chant that Dharmadevi sang, pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life, talking about the spiritual eye. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. The mercy is the Divine Mother. It's not, yes, it's the compassion and the love of the Mother, but it is her all-attractive, it's God's all-attractive, loving force that's constantly drawing us. It's the whisper from eternity. That's the name of this book, right? That's constantly calling us home. And it reminds me of, you heard that joke, the man was before the judge for trial, and the judge said, how do you plead? He said, Your Honor, I pleads for mercy. This is the way to approach God. Approach God as the Divine Mother. Yeah, I encourage you to try and take this. It's something that, Yogananda was a devotee. He loved the Divine Mother. But this feminine aspect of God is very much, we need to cultivate that. The compassion, the kindness. Of course, there's so much bewilderment in our world today, seeming, all the endless variations and negativity and divisiveness. That's the outward flowing aspect, that God is keeping this drama, the tension of it. But if we can tune into the indrawing aspect of God, the Divine Mother, and how do we do that? Well, of course, that's why meditation is so necessary, because as long as we keep going and going, we're caught up in the drama. If we don't take that time for stillness, like Yogananda said, seclusion is the price of greatness. Dharmadevi and I just took a seclusion. It's a period of time where you have longer meditation, practicing the presence of God. We did a digital detox. You might wonder what that is. You turn the phone off and you start to shake, withdraw. But I had this experience in seclusion that I was feeling like I was like a caged animal. Where do I go now? I have nothing to do. I'm so used to going. I'm much more acclimated to doing rather than being. There was a time Dharmadevi and I had a breakfast with a meeting with a number of people, then everybody left, and she was just sitting across from me, with her sweet nature as she does, and she just looked at me, and I was like, okay, we ready to go? She was trying to remind me to be. There's doing and being. Anyway, I'm sorry, coming back to my seclusion story, I felt this restlessness, and when you stop and actually sit, like Yogananda used to say, when you have a glass that it's swirling with a bunch of dirt. You put the glass down and it'll still be swirling, and then over time it'll start to sink to the bottom. So I was just having that period in the beginning of my seclusion where I was, acclimating to silence, to being, and this whirlwind of muck, if you will, was sort of swirling through my consciousness, and I tipped the balance, I would say, from self-awareness, which is a fine line, to self-absorption. I started, oh my God, I've got so far to go. I'll never get there. I have so many faults. I was doing a good job of beating myself up. And then through the grace of God, I remembered something that Swami Kriyananda said. And that is, when you find something that's wrong with yourself, rather than that, shirking from that self-recognition, to actually rejoice. Because aren't we all here to learn and grow? So if you actually become aware of something that you need to work on, congratulate yourself. This is actually something that Swami would do, and he said, try and take up this practice. So I wanted to share this morning, because this is our first service for the new year, that in order for us to make resolutions and grow, we first need to accept. Acceptance is an important part of our spiritual progress. If we can't accept things as they are, how are we going to change them? So if we can first accept what's happening within ourselves, and if we do feel upset or angry or whatever, you don't watch out for they call it the spiritual bypass, right? Well, I meditate, I practice yoga now, I don't get angry. You're missing the point, and that's why you're doing it. The more important question to ask when you have that self-awareness is, it's like, Swami used to use that analogy when you play tennis. If somebody hits the ball to the other side of the court, you're going to say, oh, geez, so much, why did you hit it over there in the corner? You just run over there and you try and return the ball. Isn't it so? You don't think about it, you just do it. If you're in battle and your enemy is striking at, oh, why did you strike? No, you defend yourself, right? And so I found with this tendency towards, like Master said, that, tears and cowardice, they're the liquid tonic of a weak mind. The sorrow of the great ones, like Christ, like Swami wrote that song with the sorrow of Jesus. It was not for himself. The masters aren't weeping for themselves, they're weeping for our misunderstanding. And so it's always a question, well, ask ourselves this practical question: what can we do about it? And so we can, of course, we can take up our spiritual practices. If we feel some kind of pang in our heart, take up chanting. You don't have to be an adept musician. Just take a chant, something that's meaningful to you. If you have that pain in your heart, longing, Master has that chant, the Divine Love Sorrow. It's like hauntingly beautiful. Practice something to take that feeling energy and then lift it up and offer it up to the divine. And this, of course, is where meditation and the power of Kriya Yoga come into play, because we, like Master used to tell that story, the demon that was haunting that village, and the holy man did his mantra and the powder and cast it on the demon, and the demon said, "Ha, I got into your powder before you could chant the mantra." And Master used to use this story as an illustration of the ego, that we cannot overcome the ego because it's infected with the very disease we're trying to overcome, which is egoity. It's just that little fancy frozen boundary. Yet we think of the ego as something fixed. It's just a disturbance in the force. It's that vritti. It's just a like or a dislike. Because we know when somebody does something, wow, why did he do that? Why did she do that? It's when something upsets us in the world, it's a reflection of what's going on. That's what we need to learn, right? The whole world is a mirror unto ourselves. But we can't get out of it by just getting more and more involved and trying to change George and trying to change Carol and trying to control this situation and that. Really what we need to learn to do is master ourselves. And that's what we say, the master. We're talking about that he was the master of his passions, of the ignorance, of the darkness. I come a blazing light. The shadows must flee. That's what the master bears. And so in order for us to become a master, that's where attunement to the guru, the practice of Kriya Yoga is so powerful, because you burn up from within. It's like Yogananda used to say, the seeds of past karma cannot sprout, cannot germinate, thank you, when they're burnt up in the fire of wisdom. And so that's what the purpose of Kriya is that self-purification. Change my darkness into thy light, Lord, and invite his light into your life even more deeply. This is something that came up for me in seclusion. Of course, you read something, but there's a difference between, like Sri Teshwar said, wisdom is best assimilated not with the eyes, but with the atoms. And I read during seclusion, Lahiri said, when you practice Kriya, when you meditate, it's for all of us, when we meditate, to ask for the grace of the Guru. It's just something, why do we pray? We don't need to, the Masters and Divine Mother know that they're omnipresent. We're praying to clarify the feeling and invocation in our own heart. Ask for their grace, to draw it into your practice, and ask for their help. That's what they're there for. Like Lahiri Mahashaya used to say, I'm ever at the kutastha, the point between the eyebrows. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. You see, the Divine Mother has come through the Guru. That's the mercy. She's come through the Guru to say, an answer to your prayer, right? When you were pining and calling out for God. So it is that if we receive that guidance of the Guru with reverence, with devotion, with true humility and acceptance, it's like Swami said, when you can accept God, then that makes everything else acceptable. I wanted to close with a story of Saint Madhuski. Maybe you've heard this story, but he was a saint. And he was a pilot as well. And he was to go to a peace conference, but it was during the winters, the stormy season. He would be flying on his own, and his family and friends said, don't go, please. Sri Madhuski, please don't go. The omens are bad in the sky. And Saint Madhuski, being a saint, didn't think of himself. He thought, I am needed to help be a harbinger and a bearer of peace at this conference. And Lord, I have given my life to thee. My body and my heart are yours. You are my protection. And I go in your name. And so he embarked on his solo, small little airplane. And then this storm was brewing, and he could see it from behind him, and it was catching him, and he was doing all that he could in his little airplane to outrace that storm. And he raced and raced, and it came, and the lightning came, and he managed to beat the storm. And then he felt, I've escaped that potential danger. And then he looked, and he saw that there was actually a rat in the engine of his airplane motor, gnawing at critical wires and equipment. And he thought, oh my God, if the rat gets through to that one wire, it's gonna pop the gasket, and I'm down. And so he called out to God and his Guru for guidance, for grace, for inspiration. And immediately he started to ascend in his airplane, and he went straight up, higher and higher in altitude, until he got up so high to 20,000 feet or so that the rat had no oxygen and it died. The point is for us to lift our consciousness, to offer ourselves to Divine Mother. You know, when we raise our consciousness, when we change ourselves from within, then there are no problems. There, like Master said, there's no obstacles. There's only an opportunity. So let's take this opportunity in the new year to make a resolution to apply our will with heart to offer ourselves at the feet of the Infinite. God bless you.